Slow, calm voice, slight laugh. Like a secret only you know, do you ever notice how the world teaches you to fight with fists? To shout, to prove, to bleed, just to be seen. I pause. But nobody talks about the most dangerous weapon a human can carry: energy. Yeah, funny thing is, you can't see it. You can't touch it. But somehow, it destroys more enemies than any sword ever could. They thought demons only looked like monsters from stories. No, sometimes they look like doubt. Sometimes they look like fear. Sometimes they sound like that little voice telling you, "You're not enough." Soft laughed, and the real joke. Most people spend their whole lives fighting these demons the wrong way, screaming, forcing, chasing approval. While a rare few, the dangerous few, they just change their energy. No shouting, no revenge, no war, and suddenly doors open. A toxic people disappear, problems lose power. Almost like your presence alone became a storm they couldn't survive. So today, I'm going to tell you something they never told you in school. How your energy can destroy 10 demons without you even lifting a finger. And small smile, and trust me. By the end of this, you might realize it. The real power was never in your hands. It was always in your mind. Most people think power comes from speaking louder, proving more, arguing harder. They think whoever talks the most wins. Whoever reacts the fastest is the strongest. But that's the funny part. Noise is usually a sign of weakness, not strength. The people who constantly explain themselves are usually trying to convince others they matter. The people who argue over every insult are usually trying to protect a fragile ego. The people who react to every bit of negativity are unknowingly giving control of their emotions to strangers. Silence doesn't work like that. Silence is uncomfortable. It makes people nervous. When you stop reacting the way they expect, you break the script they wrote for you. They expect anger. They expect defense. They expect you to chase their approval. But when you just look at them calmly, or worse, when you don't react at all, something strange happens inside them. They start fighting themselves. Because silence forces people to face their own noise. Their insecurity gets louder. Their assumptions get louder. Their fear of being irrelevant gets louder. You didn't attack them. You didn't insult them. You didn't even resist them. And somehow that hurts their ego more than any words ever could. There is something terrifying about a person who doesn't feel the need to respond. Not because they are weak, but because they are in control. Real control is emotional distance. Real power is choosing when something deserves your attention. Anyone can shout. Anyone can insult. Anyone can react. But not everyone can stay still when provoked. Not everyone can watch chaos and decide they are above participating in it. That kind of silence is discipline. Think about it. When someone insults you and you instantly react, you just showed them the location of your emotional buttons. You basically handed them a remote control and said, "Here, press this, and you can control how I feel." Most people do this without realizing it. They become predictable, easy to disturb, easy to manipulate. But when someone tries to provoke you and you remain calm, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability is intimidating. Because now they don't know how to control you. They don't know what hurts you. They don't know if they matter to you at all. Nothing hurts an ego more than feeling irrelevant. Anger at least proves they affected you. Silence makes them question if they ever could. Silence is not about suppression. It is not about being afraid to speak. It is about knowing your value so deeply that you don't feel the need to defend it. A lion doesn't explain to sheep why. It is dangerous. The sun doesn't argue with clouds to prove it shines. Presence speaks before words ever do. Some people will call your silence arrogance. Some will call it attitude. Some will say you changed. But what really changed is access. They no longer have free entry into your emotional world. They no longer get reactions for free. They no longer get importance they didn't earn. And humans, they hate losing access they once had. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, your life becomes quieter. The moment you stop responding to disrespect, your respect increases. The moment you stop feeding negativity, it starts starving. Because attention is food, and silence is starvation. Every time you refuse to argue with stupidity, you win time. Every time you refuse to react to drama, you win peace. Every time you refuse to prove your worth, you prove it without speaking. That's the paradox. The less you try to show power, the more powerful you appear. People expect effort. They don't expect calm certainty. And calm certainty feels dangerous because it shows you are not seeking validation. You are not seeking permission. You are not seeking approval. You already decided who you are. And a person who has decided their worth cannot be easily shaken. Noise tries to pull you down to its level. Silence forces noise to rise, and most noise cannot survive at higher levels of awareness. That's why silence often looks cold to emotional people. They mistake emotional control for lack of feeling. But the truth is the opposite. It takes more strength to stay calm than to explode. Anyone can lose control. Very few can hold it. Sometimes the strongest response is no response. Sometimes the strongest statement is no statement. Sometimes the strongest victory is walking away mentally while standing physically right there. Completely untouched, completely unreadable, completely beyond their reach. Energy is magnetic. It doesn't ask for attention. It demands it. People are drawn to those who carry a presence that feels unshakable, a force that can't be bought, begged for, or faked. You don't need to shout or fight to be noticed. Your energy does the work for you. There's a subtle rhythm to it, a vibe that whispers before anyone speaks, a signal that communicates confidence, strength, and self-possession. People feel it the moment they enter the same room as you, whether they like it or not. Some will admire it secretly. Some will resent it openly, but all will respond in some way, because energy is impossible to ignore. When your energy is aligned, you create a field around yourself that sets the rules of engagement. You don't need to compete for validation because your energy has already validated you. People sense authenticity like animals sense danger, intuitively, viscerally. They know when someone's energy comes from fear, and they know when it comes from power. Those who operate from fear broadcast desperation. They grasp, they demand, they chase. But when you operate from confidence, from pure presence, you attract respect effortlessly. You become a focal point, a silent authority that does not ask permission to exist. The way you carry yourself, the way your mind moves, the way your attention flows, all of it communicates more than words ever could. Energy isn't just a feeling, it's a language. And the people around you are fluent, even if they can't articulate what they feel. They notice when you remain calm in chaos, when you smile when tension rises, when you walk through conflict without bowing. They can't imitate it, they can't control it, and that's why it commands influence. Your energy becomes the frame for every interaction, and people unconsciously match it, bend to it, or resist it. When you understand the gravity of your energy, you stop wasting it on things that don't serve you. You stop trying to impress, to prove, or to manipulate. Instead, you focus on cultivating the internal currents that make others take notice naturally. You focus on clarity of thought, steadiness of emotion, and a magnetic sense of purpose. Every glance you give, every choice you make, every space you occupy is charged with intention, whether you realize it or not. You are no longer just participating in the world. You are influencing it through the simple act of being. People underestimate the power of unshakable energy because it doesn't look like power. There are no explosions, no dramatics, no showy displays of strength. Instead, there is an invisible force field that repels toxicity, attracts opportunity, and positions you above the petty struggles that occupy so many others. The most dangerous people are not the loudest or the strongest. They are the ones whose presence alone shifts the room, whose energy alone forces people to reconsider their assumptions. You don't need to announce yourself because your energy announces you. Your energy dictates how people treat you, what they expect from you, and how far they are willing to go to be around you. It sets the standard. Those who try to bring you down feel the resistance before they even speak. Those who seek your guidance sense stability and insight. Those who wish you harm encounter an invisible barrier they cannot penetrate. Energy operates silently, but it never stops working. Every choice you make, every thought you entertain, every movement you execute reinforces it. The paradox is this: the more you cultivate your energy authentically, the less you need to assert it consciously. People feel it, they respond to it, and the world bends around it. Energy slays more battles than fists ever could because it does not rely on confrontation. It commands without fighting, it influences without demanding, it conquers without touching. Your presence alone becomes a force to be reckoned with, a silent assertion of your worth that no one can ignore or diminish. Every interaction becomes a reflection of your energy. Weak energy invites chaos, attention, seeking, and unnecessary struggle. Strong energy invites respect, cooperation, and opportunities that seem almost destined. People may not understand why they are drawn to you, why they obey unwritten rules around your presence, why doors open where they once closed, but they will feel it instinctively, and they will respond accordingly. Energy is the quiet engine behind every outcome, the invisible hand guiding perception, influence, and power. When you own your energy, you own the room before you even step in. You shape the dynamics, the expectations, and the responses without raising your voice or raising your hand. And that is the essence of true influence. Not through force, not through manipulation, but through the undeniable gravity of being fully, unapologetically yourself. A presence that cannot be ignored, a force that slays obstacles, breaks resistance, and commands respect without ever asking for it. Negativity is everywhere. It hides in the smile of someone pretending to support you. It lurks in casual comments meant to provoke. It thrives in social media posts, in gossip, in the endless chatter of people who want to see you fail. Most people think they have to respond, to fight back, to explain themselves. They think ignoring it is weakness, that silence equals surrender, that avoiding the clash is somehow losing. But the truth is far darker and far more dangerous for those who throw negativity your way. Ignoring negativity isn't ignoring reality. It's refusing to hand control over your mind and your emotions to someone else. Every time you react, every time you argue, every time you let a harsh word pierce your calm, you give them power over you. They have the remote to your feelings, and they can press every button at will. They don't need to lift a finger, because your response does all the work. Every angry message you read, every petty quarrel you engage in, every debate you argue over, they feed off it. They grow stronger while you drain yourself. The ultimate revenge against negativity is indifference. It's the kind of calm that makes people uncomfortable, because it denies them the satisfaction they were seeking. You don't have to yell. You don't have to prove anything. You don't even have to acknowledge it. Your mind is your territory, and you don't allow trespassers. By staying untouched by their attempts to provoke you, you expose their weakness. You show them that their tactics are useless, that they are nothing more than shadows bouncing off your light. Ignoring negativity also rewires the game entirely. It changes the rules without a single word. While others are busy reacting, you are observing, calculating, conserving your energy. While they chase a reaction, you remain untouchable. Your mental clarity becomes a weapon. Your composure becomes armor. Your silence becomes a barrier they cannot break. They are left flailing, desperate, confused, and frustrated. Because you are playing a game they didn't even know existed. There is a strange power in being untouchable. People who hurl insults or spread rumors are usually seeking acknowledgement, a sign that you care, a glimpse of your attention. Deny them that, and they crumble in ways they cannot control. Deny them that, and you become the calm eye in their storm, a force they cannot manipulate. You rise above their chaos without lifting a finger, because the battle they thought they were fighting was never against you. It was against your reaction. And when you ignore negativity, you protect your own energy, you protect your peace. Every time you refuse to engage, you are building a fortress around your mind. You are conserving your fire for battles worth fighting. You are telling the world that not everything deserves your energy, not every attack requires retaliation, and not every word has the power to shake your foundation. You become selective, deliberate, and strategic. You learn that attention is currency, and you spend it wisely. Ignoring negativity is not passive. It is an active choice. It is a statement louder than any words. I will not give you my power. It transforms your presence into a shield, your aura into a deterrent, your existence into a lesson. People notice it, even if they don't admit it. They may call it arrogance. They may call it pride. They may whisper behind your back. But deep down, they feel it. They sense a power they cannot touch, a calm they cannot disturb, a strength they cannot break. And there is a terrifying beauty in that, because when you walk through life ignoring the chaos others try to throw at you, the demons that thrive on reaction lose their food. The toxic, the jealous, the spiteful. They starve. They cannot survive on your silence, your composure, your refusal to be baited. They are left impotent, and you continue unscathed, untouched, unshakable. Your life becomes a reflection of your choices, and the world starts adjusting to the force of your presence without you ever needing to lift a hand. The irony is simple but profound. The less you engage with negativity, the more it engages with itself. The more it seeks your attention, the more it fails to find it. The louder the world screams at you, the quieter you become, and that quiet carries more weight than any argument ever could. Ignoring negativity slays demons not with weapons, not with words, but with the unmovable force of your own mind. It is subtle, invisible, yet devastatingly effective. It is the power most people overlook, the skill few truly master, and the victory that never needs a fight. Confidence is not something you put on like a costume. It's something that grows silently, unseen, in the corners of your mind where no one else is watching. Most people confuse confidence with arrogance or loudness, thinking that the way to command respect is to dominate every conversation, to boast, to shout over others. But the truth is far more dangerous, far more magnetic. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need approval because it doesn't depend on it. It doesn't prove itself because it already knows its worth. And that is what makes it lethal to the invisible enemies that lurk in your life. Invisible enemies are the doubts, fears, and insecurities that follow you like shadows. They whisper that you aren't enough, that your efforts will fail, that people are waiting for you to slip. Most people spend their lives reacting to these voices, trying to silence them with reassurance, validation, or distraction. But confidence doesn't argue. It doesn't beg. It simply exists as proof that these enemies are powerless. The moment you carry yourself with unshakable confidence, doubt begins to tremble. Fear hesitates. The whispers lose meaning. You become untouchable not because you fight, but because you embody the certainty they cannot penetrate. Confidence allows you to move through the world strategically. You don't waste energy on things that don't matter. You don't give your attention to petty provocations or meaningless opinions. Every decision is informed by clarity, not panic. You walk into rooms with a presence that demands notice, not because you demand it, but because you project a stability that people instinctively recognize. They feel it before you speak, long before they understand it. The invisible enemies that feed on hesitation and insecurity suddenly find themselves powerless because confidence does not waver in the face of attacks. The beauty of confidence is that it creates a ripple effect. People react differently around those who are self-assured. Toxic individuals instinctively retreat, sensing that their usual manipulations won't work. Allies and opportunities gravitate toward you because they feel safety and reliability in your presence. You don't have to chase influence. It follows naturally. Confidence is magnetic in a way that weapons, words, or force can never achieve. It becomes a shield and a sword at the same time, protecting you from negativity while opening doors that others struggle to enter. The silent power of confidence lies in its consistency. People can tolerate a single act of bravado or a show of force, but unshakable confidence is a pattern, a constant presence that cannot be predicted, manipulated, or broken. It makes others second guess their own strategies, their assumptions, and their influence over you. What they expected to bend or provoke simply remains immovable, and that unsettles them more than any direct confrontation ever could. Confidence forces them to engage with you on your terms, not theirs, and that subtle control is far more terrifying than any overt fight. Confidence also protects your energy in ways that aggression cannot. Reacting to every slight or challenge drains you, but when you approach life from a place of quiet certainty, you preserve your mental and emotional resources for the battles that actually matter. You stop giving away power, attention, and focus to forces that don't deserve it. You begin to realize that the most effective victories aren't won with confrontation. They are won with the unshakable assurance that you are already beyond the reach of your enemies. There is a psychological weight to confidence that works invisibly. People respond to it subconsciously. They notice subtle cues, the way you hold your head, the steadiness in your voice, the calm in your reactions, and they adjust their behavior accordingly. The invisible enemies that once thrived on your hesitation, your doubt, your overthinking, suddenly find themselves powerless. They cannot intimidate you because you are already fortified within. They cannot sway you because you are anchored in certainty. And that is what makes confidence more dangerous than weapons, words, or schemes. True confidence transforms your environment. It shifts the dynamics of every interaction, turns intimidation into respect and chaos into order. The presence of someone who is fully confident sends a silent warning attempts to manipulate, provoke, or undermine will fail. The invisible enemies learn that they are outmatched, not because they are weaker, but because they are irrelevant. Confidence isn't loud, it isn't flashy, but it annihilates hesitation, doubt, and fear in ways that nobody can see coming. It is the ultimate invisible weapon, a force that operates quietly, but lethally, against every obstacle in its path. Confidence becomes an unspoken contract with the world. You don't need to declare it, prove it, or defend it. You embody it, and it resonates through your actions, your decisions, and your energy. Those who oppose you realize they cannot reach you. Those who follow you feel a pull they cannot resist, and those who doubt themselves see in you a model of what is possible. The invisible enemies that once haunted your mind are left powerless, not because they were defeated in combat, but because confidence rendered them irrelevant. It is a force that slays without effort, conquers without combat, and asserts itself without a single word. Presence is a language that speaks louder than words ever could. Some people try to fill the silence with noise, thinking that making themselves seen or heard is the key to power. They wave their hands, raise their voices, and try to dominate every room they enter. But true danger is not announced. True influence does not need applause. It is quiet, subtle, and unavoidable. When you carry a presence that feels dangerous, people sense it immediately. They may not be able to define it, but they feel it in the weight of your gaze, the steadiness of your movements, and the confidence that radiates from every fiber of your being. A dangerous presence commands respect because it communicates control. You are not reacting to their chaos. You are not seeking validation. You are not begging for attention. You exist, and that existence alone sets rules. People feel boundaries without you having to explain them. They sense that you are not easily manipulated, that your energy is not for sale, that your attention must be earned. That invisible power is terrifying to those who thrive on controlling others. It makes them hesitate, second-guess, and sometimes retreat entirely, because they are facing a force they cannot predict or dominate. When your presence is dangerous, it acts as a shield and a weapon simultaneously. It protects you from toxicity, ridicule, and manipulation while naturally repelling people who would drain your energy. It draws others in who recognize strength, confidence, and clarity. The difference between someone with a dangerous presence and someone without is the subtle assertion that their space, their mind, and their energy are untouchable. They do not ask permission to exist. They do not wait for approval, and they do not need to justify themselves. That alone shifts every dynamic in their favor. The way you move, the way you speak, the way you interact. All of it contributes to your aura. Small gestures, a controlled tone of voice, the calm in your eyes during chaos. These things signal a quiet dominance. People instinctively notice who carries themselves with authority that does not need validation. They instinctively defer, adjust, or approach cautiously. Those who attempt to intimidate you find themselves miscalculating because they cannot gauge the depth of your awareness or the limits of your patience. Your presence becomes the invisible rulebook for interaction, and others must comply if they wish to engage with you at all. A dangerous presence also shapes perception. People will attribute qualities to you simply because you emanate strength. Even in silence, you communicate decisiveness, clarity, and power. They may try to analyze you, challenge you, or undermine you, but your aura preempts their efforts. Your physical stillness, emotional steadiness, and mental focus create an impression that you are not only confident, but untouchable. That impression alone disarms attempts at manipulation and demands attention without a single word being spoken. When presence is cultivated intentionally, it becomes a force multiplier. It enhances the impact of your energy, your confidence, and your silence. Every interaction you have is filtered through it. Every room you enter is reshaped by it. People who might have underestimated, you suddenly realize you are not just another participant. You are the standard. Your presence dictates how people behave, how they respond, and what they consider possible. It is the ultimate form of influence, because it requires no struggle, no effort, and no confrontation to assert itself. A dangerous presence also forces accountability in others. When you are untouchable in your demeanor, when you do not react to attempts at provocation, the people around you are forced to confront their own intentions, behavior, and respect. They cannot exploit your vulnerabilities because you have none to offer. They cannot provoke a reaction because you remain centered. The tension created is subtle but effective. It teaches others the limits of their influence without you ever having to lift a finger. The paradox of dangerous presence is that it is not performative. It is not about showiness, posturing, or intimidation. It is about alignment of mind, body, and energy. It is the confidence to exist without approval, the clarity to act without distraction, and the calm to remain unmoved when the world tries to shake you. It creates a space where nothing superficial penetrates, where negativity slides off effortlessly, and where invisible enemies lose their grip. People feel this power instinctively, and they adjust their behavior accordingly, whether consciously or unconsciously. When you understand the weight of presence, you realize it is more effective than force, louder than any argument, and more dangerous than any weapon. People respond to it because it cannot be negotiated with, manipulated, or diminished. Those who would oppose you hesitate. Those who would challenge you falter. Those who would betray you sense the consequences before a single action is taken. Presence becomes a silent dominion, an invisible authority, and a subtle but irresistible force that shapes every environment you occupy. Ultimately, a dangerous presence transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It turns casual interactions into lessons in restraint and respect. It turns the energy of others into mirrors of your own, because they cannot help but reflect the power they sense. And in that reflection, your influence grows exponentially. You do not need to prove yourself, you do not need to fight, and you do not need to shout. The very act of existing with intention, confidence, and calm authority ensures that your presence alone is enough to command, protect, and conquer without ever lifting a finger.